Good afternoon. My name is Brian John. I'm the founder of Asian American Youth Council. I'm a senior at Bergen County Technical High School. So today, I would like to briefly have a deep conversation with Mayor of Tenerify, Mark Zinna. It's a very different feeling to meet you at a Mom and I interview. Of course, it's an honor, and I'm glad you're here with us today.
Thank you, Brian. Mayor Mark Zinna from Tenerify, New Jersey. And Brian, it's a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you for the invitation.
If you were able to go back to your high school years, what advice would you give to yourself?
What advice would I give to myself if I can go backwards?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different philosophies I would give to myself. The first is an Eastern philosophy, and it's an ancient saying. And if you're hungry, eat your rice, and if you're tired, go to sleep. Right? Fools will wonder why, but wise men will understand. And that's all about being focused on what you need to do at hand and what you need to do to move yourself forward. And a Western philosophy that I would tell myself if I could go back in time would be from St. Augustine. And he said, love God and do as you will. And the point of that is you need to do what's important and follow your own passions in your life and not spend your life trying to meet other people's expectations. And you should always follow your own path. And I think that's what I would tell myself, because that's what's important.
And as we all know, you work really hard to enhance the lives of all residents, specifically our women and our children, students, and our elders. Is there a specific reason that you are doing this, and is it one of the reasons why you pursued in becoming a mayor?
So, one of the responsibilities of government is to establish a framework in which people can live their lives, right? We set down sets of rules and laws, and we have expectations, and we know how much we have to pay in taxes and how to get a building permit. So you have kind of this framework that we operate in. And most people are successful in being able to navigate that framework, which can get complicated at times. So if you're building a business or whatever it might be, you know what the rules are. But then there's some people who are outside the framework, and they have a hard time being able to function, whether they're elderly or whether they're very young or they might be ill. So it's then government's job to help those people be able to become successful, to live fruitful lives. So there's two parts to that coin. And when you're in an elected role, you're responsible for helping both parts.
That's why I'm so grateful to live in Tenerify. What was your first impression when you first tried on the Hanbok?
Well, it was very comfortable. It's beautiful. I needed help getting it on because I wasn't sure how to actually put it on myself, and I certainly wanted to make sure it went on properly, and I didn't cause any damage to it. But it's actually very comfortable, and it's interesting because of the skill level of the actual Hanbok itself. It makes you want to really take care with it and make sure it's well protected.
For the past couple of weeks, you've been entitled all over the Korean media as the first American mayor to wear the traditional hanbok, including the kat. How do you feel, and do you feel the rise in popularity yourself?
Well, I don't, it's interesting you say that. I don't focus on what the media may or may not be saying about me, to me. I put messages out there to the community, and so you have to be cautious. When you're an elected person, you have to be very careful about what you immerse yourself in, right? So it's important that I'm out there doing what I do to kind of help all the communities around me. And I don't focus on whether that helps me or not. When I run for election again one day, I'm either going to win or I'm going to lose based on the things that I've done. And that's what I kind of try to focus on. Good government is good politics. And so when you help people, regardless of their heritage or background, I think that is what gets returned to you. And do I enjoy watching the videotapes from South Korea? Of course, and my family loved it. They were like, what's this, And so it's a lot of fun on a personal level. There's no question about it.
It was all over the news.
It was all over the news, all over the news.
Now, due to the consistent rise in hate crimes, we have been hearing a very upsetting news on social media as well as our friends and relatives. There have been many actions taken to really take precaution and to prevent the rise of these hate crimes. What are your opinions on these hate crimes, and what do you think that we have to do as of now?
So, very complicated question, right? With lots of answers. Hate crimes are bad. Hate is bad. Again, I spoke about living in a diverse community growing up, and when you live in a very diverse community, you have to be highly tolerant of other people's behavior and points of view, how they dress, how they look, in order to survive. And I think one of the things we have problems with is we have people who are just filled with too much hate, and they blame other people for their problems or their situation in life, or they're just mentally unstable and can't function in civilized society, and they take out their hate and anger on other people. Myself personally, I'm only the second generation born in the United States. My grandparents came from Italy, and my grandparents had problems finding jobs. They didn't really experience hate and anger in the areas they lived in. Manhattan and the Bronx were Italian communities much like themselves, and they worked there. So it was a little bit easier for them to kind of assimilate into the culture. But today, you see racism and hate in many forms, and there's no reason or rational excuse for it. Whether people getting hit on subways or on the streets, you can open up the New York City newspapers and see that going on every day. And in terms of how we deal with that, well, it's a multifaceted problem, right? We've got, in the 1970s, as a nation, we decided that institutions for people who had intellectual and mental challenges were no longer the way to go. And we put people on the street who shouldn't be on the street, and it's not in their best interests. And you have, many people with drug problems, with mental health issues that shouldn't be on the street, and we have to get those folks off the street. In terms of people who are real clear in their thinking, but real stupid in their behavior and violent in their behavior, well, they need to be, dealt with on their own individual basis through the criminal justice system when you act out violently. And, sometimes in terms of ancient problems, and ancient I mean in previous generations, right, is the old racists and haters need to die off. And I mean by natural means, right? Because time can heal wounds, but you can't just wait forever. People need to be educated. We need to educate people in the schools. We need to have integrated, sports and social programs and towns where you have different nationalities living together. Because when you live with people and your children are on the same team as children from other cultures and other national backgrounds, it's very difficult to hate your own children's friends.
Of course.
And right? My children have grown up in Tenerify. I have 4 children, and they've grown up with people of all different nationalities, and that's only benefited them. Yeah. It's only been good. So I think there's a lot of problems in terms of dealing with racism and hate. There's a lot of solutions out there. It's all about having the courage to actually do something about it.
I agree. Thank you so much. There are a lot of Korean American fans watching and reading 맘앤아이 magazine and TV. Are there any last remarks that you would like to mention to them?
Well, I really love the Korean culture and the history, and so I really appreciate the fact that you've invited me here today. I hope your listeners and your readers, enjoy our conversation, and I'm happy to be a part of anything that makes your life and your family's life and your friend's life better. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much for making it to our interview, regardless of all the responsibilities that you have to take care of. And I just wanted to say that we are with you and we want to follow your path. And we wish you this consistent success on your journey as well. Once again, thank you. And this interview could be found on 맘앤아이Tv and 맘앤아이 magazine as well. We will wrap up our interview today, and we hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.